everyone. It is November 17, 2025, and this is the special town meeting for the town of Sturbridge. By charter and past practice, there's no quorum needed, so we can get started. I am happy that you're all here, however. Please silence your cell phones. Make doubly sure that you silence your cell phones. I went to see the play Hamilton yesterday, and right smack in the middle of an important time, someone's phone went off, and I wanted to wring their neck. Please make note of the exits from the auditorium should they be needed in an emergency. Please do not stand or congregate in the aisles. Please always take a seat unless you're working for the meeting. At this time, would you please stand if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
November 17, 2025, and this is a special town meeting for the town of Sturbridge.
with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. I'd like to have a moment of silence to reflect on the importance of our military service members, all of our first responders, and we hope for their safety, and for the peace in our nation, for members, and next for members of the community that have passed away since our annual meeting in April. First, Mary Blanchard, a woman that we can all agree was a dedicated public service and cared deeply about the town of Sturbridge. Mary was a teacher at Burgess Elementary, served on the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Open Space Committee, and was in her 6th term as a member of the Select Board when she died earlier this year. Our thoughts and prayers remain with Charlie and the rest of the family. Next, Margaret Darling, who served on the Council on Aging. Robert Duncan, a school psychologist at Tantascwa, a co-founder of the Tantascwa Regional Youth Soccer League, and he was also an on-call firefighter. Next, Rebecca Gould-Mimo. She served on the Council on Aging and the Senior Center Building Committee. And Lori Applegate, who served as the treasurer for the Friends of the Joshua Hyde Library. Please, a moment of silence. Thank you, and now you may be seated. Since this is a special town meeting and won't have all the accompanying fanfare of our annual town meeting, the Finance Committee, Select Board, and Town Administrator have all waived opening statements. I would like to thank Lynn Gerard, our Town Clerk, who's responsible for recording the meeting votes, for Francis Wojcicki, the Assistant to the Town Administrator, and Jeremy Jalbert, IT Specialist Extraordinaire, amongst other hats he now wears. All right, as I have said at the last 2 meetings I've had the privilege to serve you for, as your moderator, I'll provide our town with a fair and procedurally correct meeting. That will require our mutual respect and understanding about the rules of the meeting. First, if you are not a voter, would you please sit over in this section of the auditorium, unless you are a caretaker for someone who is physically disabled and may need your assistance. Speakers, we are here to address 9 articles in the warrant as scheduled, and I welcome your comments and questions on them. But please understand that this is not a forum to air grievances or to discuss any other matters. We must and will stick to the articles and motions as they appear in the warrant, or substitute motions if there are any. Speakers in general, if you've been at the last 2 meetings that I have moderated, if you want to address the meeting, to ask a question or discuss a motion, you must first be recognized by the moderator. Please come down to the microphone so that I can see you, make sure I call on you. If you're yelling from out back, unless you cannot make it to the microphone, please come down to the microphone. If you cannot, raise your hand, get my attention somehow, and someone will bring a microphone to you. Before speaking, you must state your name and address. And as in past practice, voting speakers will have 3 minutes to ask their question or to make a statement. Extensions to that time are within the discretion of the moderator. But please note that the time limits will not apply to those who answer any questions raised by the town meeting or provide explanations on any warrant articles. A couple of years ago now, we introduced the traffic light. This is your visual cue to show just how long someone has been talking and also to help you to stay on track. This is so we all know how long someone has been talking and so that you see that everyone is given the same amount of time. 3 minutes is a long time, yet sometimes it can feel like someone has been talking for 2 hours or 3 hours. Please make a point of listening to what has been asked or stated by those that may have come before you. I'm sure that we've all seen it. Someone will get up and ask the very same question that was asked by someone sooner. Pay attention, please, to what has happened. Repetitive statements or questions are not helpful to the body. It is the vote that counts, not the number of people that are for or against a particular issue. And I do reserve the right as moderator to halt repetitive statements. At some point, a member of the town meeting will tire of the discussion and they will want to move the question. I will not entertain any motion of move the question that is just shouted out. You must come down to the microphone and state your desire to move the question. Please also note that I will not entertain any motion to move the question until after 30 minutes of discussion has taken place. So be patient. Should anything last that long, please wait until it has hit that mark before you raise or desire to move the question. If and when a motion is made to move the question after the 30 minutes, we must immediately halt everything and consider that question. There is no discussion on whether to move a question. There's no further discussion on the actual article. It is all suspended until the motion to move has been acted on, and that vote must pass by 2/3. Let's see what's next. If the motion to move the question passes, we'll vote on the article without any further discussion. If it doesn't pass by 2/3, debate will continue. Now for a reminder on our code of conduct. The rules are important and I intend to follow them. However, I trust this body that none of us want any kind of rigid adherence to the rules of order. I'm going to engage and use a little flexibility where it is legally permissible and where it is warranted. Our parliamentary procedure is governed by town meeting time. Town meeting time, it's in our charter that this is what governs our parliamentary procedure. It contains all of the procedural rules that apply to our town meeting, and they're also incorporated into our bylaws. But ultimately, if the rules need to be consulted or if they're challenged, I will either issue a ruling, or if I am uncertain for any reason, I will call upon town council. But ultimately, how we proceed is in the discretion of the moderator. There will be some amendments or tweaks to a couple of the articles tonight, but otherwise I do not expect any other substitute motions. If you have one, verbal motions are okay. I prefer that they be in writing, because if you state a verbal motion and Lynn writes it down in the minutes and the next day you say that's not what I said, what her minutes say rules. So if you have any intention or desire to file a substitute motion, please put it in writing. I am not going to schedule any breaks. If you need to leave the auditorium for whatever reason, you are free to do so. But remember, if you decide to leave the building, you have to turn in your clicker, or Lynn will call you the next morning and ask where it is. If this meeting, God forbid, if it takes more than 3.5 hours, there's a problem. But at 10:30 p.m., if we're not through these 9 articles, we'll discuss on whether we are going to finish the meeting tonight or if we need to have it go to the second night. All right, we will use the clickers to vote. The town of Sturbridge wisely accepted the use for these during last year's town elections, and it's been made part of the revised charter. It's in section 3.3, so there's no need to vote on whether we're going to use them any longer. We don't have any test questions for you tonight, but we are going to do a test of the clickers to see if they are working. So, do you want to press yes or no? Press yes or no, whatever you'd like to do. Press it and we'll check up on the grid to make sure that they're all working, so you may start now. And we'll stop as everybody clicked. All right, Lynn. And it should show up, take a look at your number on your clicker, and it should show up. Page 1, page 2, everybody, your clickers are working?
No. No.
Go on to the next page, you see it here.
No.
Don't pass four.
Usually when you press the button, it says accepted. It's just saying.
All right, our first technical issue, stand by. All right, we're going to try again. Stand by. All right, let's try this again with the test. Press yes or no. Success, I think.
Go to the second page. Go to the second page.
But we have to wait for the voting to close, then we'll go on to the next page. The vote is closed, 105 people voted, and 1 did not. All right. Next is the official town warrant for tonight. For tonight's special town meeting. Earlier this evening, I examined and reviewed the warrant. I'm satisfied that it was properly posted in all the applicable locations.
If it didn't show on the clicker an A or B, and go out by the front, grab a new clicker. One person did not vote. If you want, you can go get another clicker.
All right, thank you, Jamie. That'll be better than this. I appreciate it. All right. I have examined the warrant. I am satisfied that it was properly prepared, executed, and posted in all of the applicable places, and it has been verified, and I'm going to give that to the town clerk. Need a motion to accept the warrant as prepared.
So moved.
All right, thank you. Next, the warrant articles. The Sturbridge past practice is to waive the full and formal reading of the actual articles. We're not going to read through each one. They are comprehensive. And in the case of Article 47, they are quite lengthy. They've been made available to everyone online or by hard copy at the town hall to review in advance. You have the board, the select board's votes and the finance committee votes in their dialogue box to explain what they're about. You can also see the votes of the two committees, the board and the committee, on what the recommendations are. So by motion or vote, may I have a motion to approve this same practice for tonight?
So moved.
Thank you. Also, past practice waives the need for a second on the Finance Committee's recommendations. They've done the work, they've studied the issues, they've looked at the money, the bylaws direct that the Finance Committee makes their recommendation. However, stated as I stated a few minutes earlier, any substitute or amended motion will require a second to proceed. This certainly will help to move the meeting along. May I have a motion to accept this practice also for tonight?
So moved.
All right, the procedural issues are complete, and we will get to article number 46. Okay. Article 46 is a motion to pay our unpaid bills from last fiscal year. It's my understanding that these bills were not received by the end of the fiscal year. Mr. Smith?
Yes, I also wanted to bring to your attention the Finance Committee had to go back and reconsider this because between the time we made the recommendation you see printed in this evening, there was a third unexpected bill that came in when the fire union contract was clarified. It was for an additional $883.20, bringing the new total to $5,979.15. We met earlier this evening and voted 8-0 to support the $5,979.15 amount.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions about this article with the amount noted by the Finance Committee? Hearing none, then the voting will start now. Five seconds. Voting is closed. And the article passes. Next, Article 47. The summary of this article is that the Commonwealth is requiring that all towns establish a kennel licensing process. This is not a new creation by the town of Sturbridge. This is adhering to the Commonwealth's instructions to cities and towns to have this process in place. Are there any questions or discussions on this article? Hearing or seeing none, the voting will start now. Five seconds. Voting is closed. The article carries. Article 48. This article is a proposed change to guarantee reliable emergency communication inside of all commercial buildings. This will improve public safety, ensures code compliance, and protects both occupants and first responders. As I recall, Chief, there was some discussion about this general prospect at the annual town meeting. Are there any questions of the fire chief or on the article itself? Hearing none, voting will begin now. Five seconds. Voting is closed. And the article carries. Article 49, cardiac monitor purchase. You check down to the summary box. The town received a grant for the purchase of turnout gear and 3 cardiac monitors. The price of the monitors increased, and the fire department therefore is asking for $15,000 to cover the remainder of the cost of the third monitor. Each monitor costs $54,665.33. Any questions or discussions on the article? Hearing none, the voting will begin now. Five seconds. Voting is closed. Article carries. Moving right along, Article 50, library outdoor space. Mr. Smith.
This is another article where between the time we took our original vote and this evening, some of the facts have changed. So when they opened the actual bids for this particular project, which was slated to come in at $140,000, it came in at $197,300. So we voted tonight that the town would take no action in this article because some options will need to be reconsidered, and it brought back to this body to consider at some future day.
Are there any questions for Mr. Smith or our finance director on this article? Hearing none, we will pass the article and move on to Article 51. Repairs to pressure vessel at the water treatment plant. If you go to the summary box, you will see during some repairs that had already been approved and were taking place, there was a look at the interior of the tank, and I guess if there are any questions, it's my understanding from the summary box that if we start one repair and don't address the possibilities that other parts of this vessel need repair, it's not cost effective and we could be ordered to replace everything. Is that a good summary, or do you want to make it more technical? Does anyone have any questions on this theory of repair and maintenance at the Water Department on Article 50? Come up to the microphone, please.
Hi, Linda Cocalis at 110 McGillipin. I was trying to read it, but I don't have my glasses. So I was just wondering, where was the money coming from, out of what account?
The water
Is it the
reserve.
water? Okay, sorry.
Water.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions or comments on the article? Hearing none, then the voting will begin now. Five seconds. Voting is closed. The article passes. Next, Article 52. The establishment of the Sturbridge Hometown Heroes Revolving Fund. This article will amend our bylaws and finances, Article 2, Section 19-7, by adding a new section to establish and authorize a Hometown Heroes Banner Revolving Fund in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2. Are there any questions on the establishment of a Hometown Heroes Revolving Fund? Hearing or seeing none, voting will begin now. Five seconds. Voting is closed. The article passes. Article 53 sets the limits on what we just voted to establish. Are there any questions or comments on the follow-up Article 53 to Article 52? All right, then, hearing none, the voting will begin now. Five seconds. Voting is closed. And the article passes. Now, before we hit the last article of the evening, I would be remiss in not pointing out these fine young gentlemen over here to my left, to your right. They are 3 members of the National Honor Society who are volunteering and residents of the town of Sturbridge. I know at least one is exercising his right to vote, having turned 18 and registered to vote. You haven't put them to work tonight, but I think we can all agree it's very important to get young people interested in what may seem very mundane, but is a very important to participatory democracy, and I'm glad that they're here. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Now, of course, I said we didn't need them using the traffic light tonight. Let's see what happens, if anything, with Article 54. Article 54 is the Doughty Road land acquisition. There is no presentation per se, but our planning board director did bring a map up front here for your view, and as I understand it, there was one out in the foyer so that people could have an idea where this piece of property was located. It is in the dialogue box at the end of this article. After many years of alternative analysis to develop the property, a determination was made that the land on Doughty Road did not meet the property owner's needs, and therefore he is now offering to donate the parcels, which amount to approximately 222 acres, to be used for general municipal purposes to include recreation and open space. Are there any questions or comments on Article 54?
Eunice Ney, 159 Stallion Hill Road. I'm just wondering, what is the tax ramifications that we're not going to be getting because now it's being town property? Do we know?
Ms. Berry? Take your time. Thank you for your question.
Barbara Berry, Finance Director. So right now, the taxes on those parcels are $27,892. There are multiple parcels, as you can see in the article. I will point out that if those parcels were combined, on the even parcels, the taxes would drop. So let me put it this way. On the even parcels, right now the taxes are $13,316. If those parcels were combined, which they can be by the current owner, the taxes would drop to $8,331. The other option that the current owner has is to put the property into Chapter 61B, which is open space. If that was done, the new tax amount would be $2,082. And there's also an option to put it into agricultural, which is Chapter 61A. If that happened, the taxes would drop to $454. On the odd parcels, the current taxes are $14,406. Same thing, if all those parcels were combined, the taxes would drop to $6,338. If those parcels were put into 61B, open space, $1,584 the taxes would drop to, and if they were put into agricultural, they would drop to $349.16. So all those are options that could happen. Would they? I don't know, but that just gives you what they are now and then what could happen. Okay. Between the two, so if you look at the article, there's parcels that are even and odd in that list, and so in total the taxes on both parcels are almost $28,000 right now, but they could drop as low as under $1,000 if they were put in chapter land.
Any other questions? Hearing none, the voting will commence now. Five seconds. Voting is closed. And the article passes. That concludes the business for tonight. Thank you all for attending. Before the meeting began, I was telling the various participants that I thought my opening remarks and instructions would take longer than the meeting, and I think that may have been true. Thank you very much.